You ever drive across Nebraska? You ever drive across Iowa, Illinois? I mean, is there anything more interminable than driving across Nebraska and Iowa in America? Is there? I mean,
Oh, I can't think of many. I mean, maybe mid-central part of the country, same thing, but a little more color and
I mean,
everything.
maybe said there's parts of the West that get a little monotonous, but they have mountains and plateaus and changes in weather and stark skies, big
Yeah.
skies. I went to school in California and didn't have any money, so often really just drove there and back. And you take the northern route and you go through. It's a little bit quicker, Iowa, Nebraska, but it is the most
Uh,
boring thing in the world. Or you could go the southern route, has a little bit more to look at, but still Oklahoma, Texas, that kind of stuff, still bad. But you recently drove across Nebraska and Iowa, actually right before this podcast, right?
I did on Monday of this week. I was flew out with my son. He needed to move a car back here, and I said, "You know what, Matt? I've got some free time. Why don't I come along with you?" So we flew out, got the car at about 9 o'clock. I mean, we had a 7 o'clock flight, which is like 6 there, so we were in by 9. Got in the car, headed back, drove all the way to Omaha. Had a wonderful dinner. What a great city in the middle of, I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. And I found out an interesting fact. Omaha makes sense when you think about it, but Omaha has more billionaires per capita than anywhere in the country.
Oh, it's the Warren Buffett
Yeah,
thing,
it's
yeah.
Warren Buffett land and the people that jumped on his bandwagon. But then you get back in that car, you've got another 6 or 7 hours through Iowa after the rest of Nebraska and then all of Illinois, because obviously going from one side to the other. I'll tell you what, I don't think I'd volunteer to do that again. I'll meet him. I'll meet him halfway or something. That was a big trip.
I dated a woman from Chicago for a while, and we made that ride a couple of times, and it was so boring. I mean, it's probably a little bit, just some of the things that we would do to, mix things up. But
Yeah.
after a while, you can only listen to so many podcasts. You can only listen to so much music. You're just freaking bored, man. There's nothing
Yeah.
else.
I'll tell you, I had when Matt went to college, he was in at the University of Denver. And when my daughter went to college 3 years before, she took about the same route out west, and then about Oklahoma or somewhere she dove down to Fort Worth area. The only thing interesting about that trip compared to the one going all the way to Colorado is if you were there in the right time of year, there was a possibility you might see a tornado. And in fact, in the year, I don't remember, I think 1998, 7, I went out to pick her up to drive her home. And the day before we came back was a day that that large number of twisters hit Oklahoma City. And we were diverted around to the neighborhoods on the highway to get out of the town. And I have never seen devastation like that.
That is awful, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
It goes right to your core.
Yeah, for sure.
He is Will Glaros. This is a podcast about him. It's called Limbwalkers. It's based on the idea that you got to walk out on the limb, you got to let go of the trunk, and that's where the real sweetness is. And we look back on his life and the things that he's learned, and I have learned a lot from his many stories. I rejected this podcast, and other than the fact that I needed a little bit of money, I was like,
That was it.
no, man, I know the game. We both played for the same coaches in high school, and he's a little bit older, but, the same cut. I'll never, ever wear if you're watching on WJOB 1230 on YouTube, I will never, hopefully in the rest of my life, wear a quarter zip that is that color. It's just not me, you know what I mean? But the same idea. I got a quarter zip on. It's just always dark. And, we're kind of cut from the same mold, but not entirely. He's talking about out west. I went to Berkeley. I'm a slacker, man. I'm just like, hey, whatever happens, happens. Will puts a lot of forethought into it. And there's one thing that has resonated with me is that if you kind of have the idea where you want to go, that somehow you pull yourself to it almost subconsciously, and that has really resonated, and hopefully it'll resonate with you. But we also talked about many times about the Limbwalker Creed, and he has it, and I'll just read it real quick. I'm special and unique. I have a vision, self-discipline, positive attitude. I work hard, go the extra mile. I look for the best in everyone. I learn from adversity, defeat. I notice you don't have failure in there. But anyways, I will help others to
Same
grow.
thing.
And finally, I will honor time. Every once in a while, we just pick out one of these and we go into it. You know, I am not. There's little parts of this that I'll take out. For the most part, the actual slacker really hates the first part. I am special and unique. Sounds conceited.
Actually, not. It's recognition that each of us are different and unique in our physical makeup, our mental makeup, the environment we come from, the families that we've been living with for years that have had impacts on us, and nobody else on this earth can say that they are you. I mean, they can try to be like you, but they have not lived the life you've lived. I haven't lived the life you've lived. I mean, they're two separate animals, but at the same time, you're here a very successful radio and TV person. I'm here finishing up a 50-year career in the insurance business and a number of other things that I've tried to be involved in to give back to the Northwest Indiana. But we both got there in a different way, and yet we both have a very, very similar story.
We do, but we go back to people picking up things that they can use in their lives that you've learned. I joke about, hey, I just wanted the money. I don't even know if there was really that much transacted, but the idea is that I met a guy who I know has helped me, and that he has a message that he's thought about. It is very active message. And this part of trying to convince people that they are special and unique, I think, is the hardest part of your creed.
It may very well be, because people go through life and they view things maybe differently than I view them. I mean, I try to look at everything, and much of this may have very well come from my parents, that, every day is a new day. Anything is possible. You can accomplish anything, but not just by sitting around and waiting for it to come. You've got to go out and you've got to want it. You've got to love it. You've got to be good to all the people around you on that path to reaching it. And not just because you're being good because you want something out of it, just being a good person. And I think if you follow, and we've talked about it before, the Limbwalker Creed is my creed. It's the items that I think had an impact on me to live the life, which has really been a great life. Every person's different. What turns them on, what makes them operate daily, what forces them, or not forces them, but encourages them not to quit, to keep going, to look for new solutions. We're all different. So
there's a confidence factor.
I think that's true.
And that's what I'm getting at. For whatever, I struggle with confidence just like everybody does, man. You wake up and the world doesn't go the way you wanted. You have specific problems. It's hard to think of yourself as special and unique when you have certain self-image messages coming from the world that contradict it.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to be able to grow beyond those things, because if you let them impact you to the point that it controls your destiny, I I mean, I can't do anything to help anybody else except just give some ideas and things that were important to me. But you've got to believe anything is possible, and it is. It's one of the great things. In fact, I'll share it right now because I'm just getting this at this point in my life, this reading. But I got it from home and a variety of other influences when I was growing up, and that is basically, and it's all through these books about Stoicism and simply put, trying to change the things we can change and improve the things we can improve and be more victorious than you've ever been before because of new things. And for those things you can't change, do not waste a second of your time worrying about them. I mean, certainly when it comes to family and issues like that, we have things we pine about. But I'm talking about in business and in your, as much even in your personal life, limiting the amount of time that you spend on the negative parts because you can't change those.
So you mentioned kind of a balance to this. All right, you're sitting there and you figure out that I am special and unique and that I want this out of the world. But then you look and you're like, oh my God, that's going to be so much work.
Yes.
So let's go to the, I think, number 6 part of your creed, and that is I will go the extra mile.
Mm-hmm.
Explain.
Explain. The extra mile. I actually brought it with me, but I left it in the car, is my little contraption called Newton's Cradle. Flat piece of wood with two, it looks like a gym set, but with 5 hanging pinballs. And if you pull one back and it hits the other 4, one goes out at the other side. If you pull 3 back and hit 2 left, 3 go out on the other side, and it's all based on Newton's, I forget which law, 11th law, 7th law, which says for every action there's an opposite and like reaction. I had the demonstration for that device shown to me about the second year I was in the insurance business by a guy by the name of Bob Proctor, a Canadian motivational speaker. And I saw it, and it was like immediate fire. It basically says what you put into anything is what you're going to get out of it. Very little, you get very little. Midway, you get midway. You put everything into it, you're going to get more out of it. And it's all kind of based on the laws of compensation. You've got the very simple law of compensation that says, give me an honest day's work, and I'll give you an honest day's wage. So you come in and you just pull the balls back 2 or 3 and give it, let it go. Lazily let it go. And 2 or 3 balls will go out. Then you fall under the second rule, and that's the law of increasing returns. The more you put into anything, the more you get out of it. So now there's a second step. If I want to do more than everybody else that's doing the job I'm doing, it's not guaranteed, but more likely I'm going to get that promotion or get that opportunity ahead of somebody else. And then there's what they call the law of contrast, which multiplies that in compensation. And that is, if you're doing those things that nobody else is doing, you are a complete and total contrast to the other people who aren't doing them. And people remember that, and they see it. And they make their decisions many times based on that they see you going above and beyond what everybody else is, even though you're not getting any more money than they are. People so many times just say, you know what, they don't give a darn about me, so I don't give a darn about them. I show up at 8, I leave at 4, I'm done. That doesn't work. You're never going to be successful doing that.
That's not going the extra mile.
No, it isn't. It isn't. That extra mile, what's really interesting was before we had the sale with Hub, and even now, the office, the people, because of the relationships among all the people, positive relationships, people giving more than they might give to anybody anywhere else, the office just runs like a smooth, like a sewing machine, man. It hums. And it's because that everybody talks to one another, kind to each other. It just gets better results in everything that you do, but going above and beyond what others do, that's the key. I mean, one of the keys. It isn't the only.
So here we go. We're talking to Will Glaros. It is his podcast, Limbwalkers. I'm honored to be on it. My name's Jim Deedlow, and we are on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. And yeah, he's organized, and there's a message here. And I like you guys to hear it because I've heard it many times in informal conversations. So we're only concentrating on 3 today. One is I am special and unique. We covered it. And then the other side of it is I will go the extra mile. Those 2 things, as we've discussed, don't always go together. Will's 76 years old. I think that the actual last part of this creed may be gaining in importance in his awareness campaign, and that is I will honor time. As you are getting older, is this one standing out?
Honestly, I really don't think about it from the standpoint of being old. I think about it, and I was actually very lucky to learn this probably 30 to 40 years ago, that concept about the value of time. And it came, we did insurance work for a local Baptist college, Hiles-Anderson College. And their preacher, Jack Hiles, would preach on Sunday, then get on a plane and fly somewhere in the country to speak or preach. He would come back on Wednesday morning and go to this college to speak to the kids. And I would go and try to listen to the sermons every once in a while. I mean, I'm not a Baptist. I'm a Christian, but it was just a different approach. And I heard some really great things, and I heard one of them there. He got up one day and he looked at all these preacher boys, and he looked at them and he said, "What's the most valuable asset that you have?" You know, they're all guessing about money or whatever else. He goes, "No, the most valuable asset you have is your time." Because value is based on the amount that you have. The lesser the amount of the product, the more valuable it is because there's less of it. And time is reducing on a daily basis, on a second-by-second basis. So he took it a step further, and he said, if you can accept the fact that time is the most valuable asset that you have because it's dribbling away second by second, then the greatest honor that you can give to another human being is the time you spend with them. So here we are, Jim, you and I on the air, and I can't grab back this last 45 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it is. I can't grab it back. It's gone. I can't go spend it with my daughter, my son, my grandkids. It's gone. You can't either. So what we've both been doing here for half an hour is basically giving each other the highest honor we could ever give anyone, because we've given him time we can never recapture again. That was so profound when I heard that.
Take a drink. Don't worry. We'll edit that out. But take a drink, and if you're live on the radio, it's the Limbwalkers podcast. Will feels fine and looks fine and all that stuff, but it is definitely cold season here in the Midwest. If you're listening at another time, it pretty much is always cold season in the Midwest,
Yes,
man. It's because of all the. It's always like, especially when you have grandkids like Will does. They just come by and they go to school and then they just hand you that latest cold.
Yes, they do.
Yes, it is. But so finish up on that. I mean, obviously, Hiles affected you with that, and quite frankly, probably affecting me and others right now with it. Kind of realization of the highest honor you can give someone is to give them some of your time.
Yeah.
How do you protect your time?
I'm probably, I mean, I'm pretty well planned out for what I'm doing. I mean, I've got scheduling and things. It's not as tight as it used to be when I was working full time. I mean, my day was it, and I mean, even if my wife called me or anybody called me, it was like, boom, short conversation. I got to get back into this. And I found it really strange in the car with my son driving back from Denver because he was doing the same thing to me now I've been doing to people for 50 years. So he's on the phone texting things, and I mean, yes, he's driving, but he's got all the pods and everything else that the kids use today. But it's hard to protect that time. But I mean, Sundays, we always have family over on Sundays. I mean, there are days of honor or days that you make positive for certain days. And it gets more difficult. It's a challenge, too, when you get grandkids and you have these 7 kids running around all in sports somewhere and you try to make them so nobody's feelings get hurt. It's hard to balance, but it's more those special one-on-one times that I think draw that sense. Just like I was sitting there last night, we were watching, they have all those Chicago Med, Chicago PD and all that. And I looked over at my wife and I thought, every Wednesday night, we sit watching those programs together. And I just look over and I think, God, we've been married almost 53 years. I really do love you. You know, I mean, it's just, and here we are. We've spent all this time, not just TV, traveling and work and all the struggles that you have and everything, but that's why, you know, to me, it's that time is important, and you do have to make hard choices when you're working, that you need to do certain things in work. But scheduling, I think, is having something and being able to tell people I've got something to do. I can't do it.
There it is, guys. That is another episode of the Limbwalkers podcast. Our producer and manager is Adriana Alvarez, and she is raising her eyebrows that it is time, and she wants to keep us on a schedule, so typically we might go a little bit longer. But, Will, I am, you know, every time we do this, I just sit back and I forget sometimes that I'm supposed to prompt the conversation along because I'm listening, and it is tantalizing to me. And I hope that others inject into it also and really appreciate what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Until next time, see you later.